Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, guys. Welcome back to the podcast. And today, the guest that I have is a beloved friend of mine. We eat together, we train together, football, not soccer. We train football together because that's what it's called. We read the Quran together, we pray together, alhamdulillah. We have fun together, and I'd like to introduce him to you, Mubasheer. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Feeling good, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Just
So
came off of watching Spain versus Germany.
yeah, that was something else, huh?
And we just got 2 dubs in FIFA. So.
In FIFA, hey, that's what's up. That's what's up. So we played together, you know. We have all the fun together, alhamdulillah. I met him through maps, through the community, and he's also a big part in the Dawah community at UW, Seattle, which is University of Washington, Seattle here in Washington State. And so let's start with that. Let's start with school, Mubee. And by the way, you're gonna listen to me call him Mubee multiple times. That's just what we call him. So what are you doing in school right now?
So right now, I'm as he said, I'm in the University of Washington, Seattle. I'm studying, and I just got into Foster, the School of Business there.
Okay, mashallah, mabruk.
And I'm kind of, still deciding what's the focus gonna be. They have many options. They have like marketing, information systems.
Right.
Right now, I'm leaning towards information systems.
Why is that?
Because it's Seattle. And Seattle is known for the tech, and so really the end goal is to start a business.
Okay, inshallah. What kind of business?
So I got a couple things in mind, but one of them is to continue my parents' business.
Okay.
Which, by the way, my parents, they do take people to Umrah and Hajj.
MashaAllah.
The company's called
I'll leave a link to their website or whatever they have, their social down below.
And inshallah, we're going in March. They're over there right now, actually, doing the fall/winter Umrah.
MashaAllah.
And then in March, I'll be going, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. So you're not taking me, I guess?
Why don't you come with us?
Only if you take me. That's fantastic. So how is UW going for you as being a Muslim? Being in a non-Muslim country in a non-Muslim school. I'm sure there's a lot of Muslims there, but even at the school, it's probably a minority, right?
Yeah. So obviously UW, they're known for their diversity. A little too diverse, a little too much.
Why do you say that?
Not to get into too much detail, but it's kind of everybody's included. We're super liberal school.
Okay. Even the Muslims.
Not exactly. Some of the Muslims are, some of the Muslims aren't.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah, a lot of the Muslims aren't, or a lot of Muslims are, mashallah, we're good practicing Muslims.
Alhamdulillah.
But yeah, I think the important part when like you're in that school setting is you have like your firm confidence and your firm identity in yourself as a Muslim.
Right.
So alhamdulillah, that's why I do the Dawah coordinator. That's why I ran for MSA position, Dawah coordinator. To sort of just spread Dawah and kind of have the students be confident in being Muslims and having also teaching others about Islam.
Very nice. So I know we had Oscar on the show previously. And if you haven't seen that podcast, go watch that podcast. That was very interesting. But I know you've been working with him as well, him, Hikna, and Why Islam to get that dawah out to people, to students at UW, right?
Yeah. So we work with primarily we work with Uplift Dawah, Brother Yusuf and Brother Saeed, and Brother Anas and all those guys. They're the ones that give us pamphlets. They're the ones that contact, to any advice, any help.
That's fantastic. So kind of coming back to school and you were talking about holding firm in your belief and having confidence in your identity. I know you grew up here in Washington State. As a Muslim, how was it like going to high school like that?
Yeah, so alhamdulillah, I was raised here, and I went to public school, elementary school.
Okay.
That was kind of like my first entrance into the school system through public school, through elementary school. But then after 3rd grade, I was homeschooled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I understand a lot of people in the U.S., a lot of Muslims, should I say, homeschool their children for quite a long time because of the effects that it might have on their kids, right?
And I think, at least my parents telling me now, there was a few objectives, a few goals with this. Firstly, they had family friends who've done this, and it was super successful. And so, people always worry about, the friends, or at least in America, a lot of people here, they worry about when they do homeschool, our kids are not going to be social and stuff like that.
Right.
But, alhamdulillah, my parents, they took us to the masjid, and I was playing soccer, and so, I had friends from, all these other things. So that wasn't, that covered that issue. Right. So then, when it's homeschooling, my mom, she was the one who taught basically everything in terms of our education, math, English, all the basics and stuff. And we did it through CVA, Columbia Virtual Academy.
Okay.
Did that all the way till 8th grade.
So I noticed you said you and your sister as well.
Yeah, me and my sister, my twin sister. Yeah.
Okay. So you have a twin sister.
Yeah, I have twin sister.
That's fantastic. We'll come back to this. Please continue.
But the other objective, my mom, she wanted to make sure that obviously our Islamic values are strong and firm, and so my sister doesn't have to make she continues to wear the hijab. A lot of kids, when they go to elementary school and public school, they're not wearing hijab.
Yeah, because they look at their friends and they're like, well, they're not doing it, why should I?
Yeah, and like the parents, they say, oh yeah, we'll introduce hijab later on in middle school and stuff. Yeah. But then a lot of the times it's too late. At that time, the kids, they already got friends, and the friends are already seeing their hair, and after that, like, I don't really want to wear it.
They look, the other kids look good to them, right?
Yeah. And so, this is where a lot of people fail to try to get their kids to wear hijab, right? Their daughters to wear hijab.
Yeah. So going to school, I mean, even after you did your homeschooling, you did end up in high school, right? Yeah. So I feel like middle school and elementary school are much easier to get through as a religious person or as a Muslim. Okay. But the high school years is when you really start forming relationships, and you start becoming your own individual, right? So how did you get through high school with all the fitna, I'm sure, that was going around?
Yeah. So first of all, it was actually extremely big change. It was extremely
from homeschool to
it was like me being in this really perfect, nice environment at home to like take a sharks basically.
So homeschooling did have side effects, right?
It did a little bit actually. Right. I was gonna say homeschooling. Because a lot of people are used to the middle school system, and a lot of kids and all this influence, and then it definitely did impact my transition from homeschooling to high school. Especially the first couple of weeks, I was kind of
nervous,
surprised, a little bit nervous, a little bit like, not in terms of academics, no. Yeah. Just in terms mostly of the social aspect. The academics, alhamdulillah, there was nothing wrong. In fact, it was pretty easy, because when you're homeschooled, you know how you teach yourself. Yeah. You don't have to. A lot of the kids are like, I'm gonna wait till this teacher helps me out to do this homework. Yeah. You create your own schedule, so
whatever is easier for you.
Whatever is easier for you. Yeah. You try to be as efficient as possible.
Yeah. But you know how that transition, like, I'm sure it was scary in terms like you were being homeschooled for what, like 5 years almost? 5-6 years? Yeah, 5 years. And then suddenly you go to like this public school with all these other non-Muslim kids, and in a setting that you haven't been in before. It must be scary, right?
It was mostly it wasn't something I expected. For example, like you could watch all the movies about high school and stuff like that. It was a little bit the same, but a lot different as well.
How do you mean that?
So how especially in these movies, there's always there's people that are popular, there's people that are you know, outcast pretty
Yeah.
much, and
Yeah.
yeah, there was a lot of that actually. There was.
So would you say you were the popular one or
So
the outcast
I would
one?
not say I was neither of them. I was
Okay.
like, you know,
You were the person who was friends with everyone.
not exactly friends with everyone, but
Yeah.
mostly like you know, I had my own group. You know, I didn't
Right.
have to. You know, I wasn't known by everyone.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. You know, and it doesn't really matter. No, nothing really matters in high school. But that's the thing. The whole culture of it. People make it seem like it mattered a lot. And so that freshman year, and I know a lot of freshmen definitely feel this, that they go into that year and their whole life is kind of focused on how they are in high school, or how they're perceived to be in high school.
Or what others think
what
about
others
them.
think about them.
Right.
And this is also like how 13, 14, 15-year-old, 14-year-old think.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I think that whole freshman year, it was a big transition period. But alhamdulillah, like in the sophomore year, I felt like, you know, I started to really understand that, you know, this didn't really matter.
Yeah.
And so I focused mostly on, you know, my academics and the friends that I had. And yeah, but definitely high school did have an impact in terms of, you know, who my friends were. Like influenced me to do, you know, I don't want to, you know, talk about it and go into it, but I never did anything like horrible or bad.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
the past is the past, basically. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you know, going to high school in a non-Muslim country, do you think, or going through an education sector in a non-Muslim country, do you think it would have been, or like there would have been any kind of differences if you hadn't gone there and instead went to like a Muslim country, like say your home country of Indonesia? Like, do you think that would have had like a difference? Because I know myself, being someone who went through the education system in both countries, you know, in a Muslim country and a non-Muslim country, it's not that different, to be honest with you. Because especially in Pakistan, especially in Lahore, where I have actually been to in the schooling sector, and I can speak about it, because I have like first-hand experience. Is like it's basically the same. I mean, people are liberal there as well. I know it's just kids, you know, just playing around, going to school, doing whatnot. But even then, like, there's almost zero to none, you know, education about Islam or your religion. Even though it's literally a Muslim country, you know, you don't learn so much about Islam. So like, what do you think that would have had a difference on your education, or on your lifestyle or anything?
The thing is, I can't really say, because I've never had that experience in another country. I mean, I could only look at my cousins in Indonesia. They go to sort of the public school, you know.
Right.
And I think it's very different, because, for example, in Indonesia, or I don't know how it is. Maybe it's the same in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Even though they're not really focused on Islam as much. It's still there, you know. Like there's no outside influence of you know, whatever, like Christian, these holidays, you know what I'm saying? There's none of those holidays. But I would say there are still people who, you know, who date, who would you know,
do all the things people do here.
But there's no like prom. There's no like homecoming. There's none of these like additional.
And then also, I believe like stuff like dating and all this stuff is looked down upon. Because like your parents don't do it. Like no matter how rich you are, or what class, like middle class. Because I know a lot of these countries have like middle class systems. You know, like there's lower classes, there are middle classes, and higher classes, and then those classes have like further distinctions among themselves. Like it doesn't matter. You're still liberal at the end of the day, basically. You know. But coming towards more of that religion aspect. I know you're a hafiz Quran, mashallah. So how was that? How was learning Quran? Like, was it helpful for you to learn Quran when you were going through school and all those changes? You know, going from homeschooling to the education sector. Like, how was it?
Yeah. So in terms of Quran, that was also another objective of homeschooling. My dad really wanted to, you know, kind of have my Quran, you know, instilled basically. Make sure that I do my Quran it's a part of my daily lifestyle and my routine. So I think it was when I was 10. So when I was 10, alhamdulillah, I already memorized, let's say, like Juz Amma and a little bit of Juz 29.
Right.
And so I remember what actually sparked my desire to really memorize. I was just chilling with my dad.
Yeah.
And I asked him, when did you memorize the entire Quran?
Yeah.
And so he said, and he said he was something around like 20 or something like that.
Oh, mashallah.
So, and then I asked him, who's the earliest? And he's like, like your grandpa memorized when he was 13.
Oh, subhanallah.
Yeah. And I was 10 at the time. And I'm like, you know what?
I could do it.
Let's try beating that,
Yeah. So when did you complete learning the whole Quran?
It was actually in January. And my birthday is January 12th.
Okay. This year?
No. When I memorized, it was January, the January before I became 13.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh,
so
mashallah.
12, yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So you kind of beat your grandfather's record, huh?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So did you have like, what did that have, like, what kind of influence did that have on you?
The Quran has a big influence in terms of, even just reciting and reading the Quran, just, you sort of have a connection. And I truly felt this. I brought if I brought it here, I have a Quran. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not in the best condition. Yeah. But it kind of just shows that I put it everywhere. I brought it with me everywhere. It's in the backpack, it's in this, it's in that. And so you kind of just develop like a sort of, a good relationship with the Quran.
And it kind of satisfies your soul and your mental aspect of your body. It's fantastic. We were talking about the spiritual aspect of the Quran and the mental aspect of going through a non-Muslim country, right? Yeah. And I wanted to switch to kind of the physical aspect of life, right? And by that I mean sports in general, right? Football, to be more specific, or football, soccer, whatever you want to call it. And so I noticed you said you started playing when you were being homeschooled, right? And
earlier before that.
Earlier than that, right? Mashallah. So what really got you into football specifically?
Yeah. So I think my earliest memory was in Indonesia. I was 6 years old. 2010 World Cup was happening.
Okay.
And just the atmosphere, the streets, especially in countries that are not America. The World Cup is, in the grocery stores, we got the ads, we got the Ronaldo, Messi, Thomas, Kaká, and all these players. And then even at the mart, the little grocery mart, they had they were giving out like cards, player cards, like player magnet cards.
Oh yeah.
And we would like go there, buy something, and we'd get a card. And we try to collect all the players.
Nice.
Build
your own team.
Yeah, build your team.
This is the original FIFA Ultimate Team right there. So,
and so, and then in the streets, everybody would just be playing and stuff. Yeah. And so that's when I started really loving watching soccer. And in that World Cup, that Messi was, I think that was his. Was that his first? 2010 was his
2010?
Yeah.
No, I think he played
2006.
Yeah, I think he might have played 2006.
Yeah. Anyways, Messi was the first guy I really watched. He's a player that kind of got me into soccer as well, watching. So that's why my team was Barcelona.
Okay.
I still support Barcelona now, but over time when I've been watching the Prem, I watch Man U. Yeah. So kind of my number one team would be Barcelona. But Man U is like the team I support. I support as well, especially in the Prem. Yeah.
So you started supporting Man United after we beat Barcelona.
When did you guys beat Barcelona?
The UCL final, was it?
You mean Barcelona beat Man
U? In my head, it's the other way around.
But it was during Rooney. I was watching Rooney.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it was a little before the UCL final. The UCL final was actually kind of, for me, it was still Barcelona because especially that Barcelona team, that was my team. Yeah,
that Barcelona team was crazy. Yeah. I mean, the Man United team had Rio Ferdinand at the time. Yeah. They had Nemanja Vidic. Yeah. You know, they had Scholesy back then, and then Beckham and all those guys. I mean, that was dream team for me, honestly. Yeah. But yeah, Rooney. I think Rooney for me was also the one person who got me into football. You know.